Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here today. We are really excited to walk you guys through a little bit of what we experience in our world as folks that work for kids app development companies, and really how this is kind of the way that you can pressure test your growth strategy and really learn how to be resilient in a changing world. My name is Sarah Beth Harrison. I lead growth globally for Spin Master's digital brands. I've been in the industry for about 12 years, largely working on growth for subscription services, news media, banking, all of that fun stuff. And I'm joined by my colleague, Louisa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Louisa. I'm the Senior Growth Lead at Spin Master Digital. I've been working on gaming for the past 7 years. Now in kids apps, but before RPG, adventure, mid-core games, everything, and now have been in this kids app space for the past 4 years. So for to say, I'm enjoying it, but happy to be here.
So a little bit about Spin Master. You might not recognize the name, but you hopefully recognize some of our brands. So Spin Master is a global children's entertainment company across toys, entertainment, and digital gaming. So our 3 core studios are Toca Boca, so one of the world's most popular kids apps with Toca Boca World, Sago Mini, which is where we're from, originally in Toronto. So Sago Mini World, Sago Mini School. We're also active on Apple Arcade, as well as our Apple TV Plus streaming show, Sago Mini Friends. And then lastly, Originator, who are located here in San Francisco, who've built a lot of really, really great educational content. Across our portfolio, we have over 1 billion downloads globally. And we are some of the original kids apps in the App Store. Sago Mini just had its 12th anniversary, and we're looking forward to many more. So to jump right into it, obviously a theme of today is that the focus on data privacy and compliance is here to stay. And we've grappled with a lot of these challenges, but we've really kind of pivoted our view on this, and we've turned that into our competitive advantage. And finding ways to be proactive and to really build resiliency into this program has helped us improve our ROI by over 40%. And really what that boils down to is you ditch the traditional growth marketer mindset and you figure out how to build those strategies that can adapt and last. Things will continue to change. You will lose access to some things that you previously relied on, but how are you taking ownership of those? So how do we do it? First things first, we're going to talk through leveling up your attribution MVP. So we work extremely close with our team at AppsFlyer to figure out how we can use the amount of data that we are able to collect in a way that can empower our business. Then it's all about knowing your players, and in our case, their parents. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about being industry first movers and building that advocacy across your partnerships. We rely so much on our partners to do our jobs, and how you can create those frameworks that will elevate the work of the team, but also elevate your partners as well. So, leveling up your attribution MVP. What does this really mean? It's all about leveraging your foundational data to give yourself the tools that you need to solve those big, hairy problems. And just to kind of level set a bit, this is the challenge that we're working with. So when Luisa and I began the organization, we were tasked with building a framework to enable growth in the kids app sector. First things first, it has to be compliant. So that means both COPPA and GDPR. COPPA is the regulations that protect kids online. It needs to be transparent. So we're a global toy company. We're a CPG company. The understanding of paid user acquisition and how this type of marketing works was pretty nascent at the time. So it was trying to put it in the simplest terms that can be absorbed and understood by everyone across the organization. It had to be scalable, so work for both IAPs and subscriptions, resilient to industry change, and then lastly, profitable. We wanted to make sure that the investment was a profitable one. But this is what was stacked against us. So to do this, we had to do it without access to ATT or consent prompts. Kids can't consent, so there's not even that opportunity to position that prompt in front of a user. What that also then means is that we do not have access to probabilistic modeling, which removes our ability to use the majority of ad networks. Beyond that, because we are talking about kids, you can't do the majority of different targeting parameters on this audience. So things like behavioral or demographic targeting are not a possibility. Beyond that, we can't transfer data back to our ad networks. So it essentially becomes a one-way street. We can receive some events, but we can't pass that back to the ad network so that they can use it for optimization and algorithmic changes to our campaigns. All of that must be done manually. And then lastly, a really fun one. We don't have the extended look-back period that you might be afforded with something like SCAD4. We have our 24-hour window still in place. So what do? We start with basics. So what do we have? Okay, we've got cost, impressions, clicks, aggregated installs, and aggregate purchases. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it gives us the basics that we need to get started. So we start mapping that on top of our user journey. So we're like, okay, this is looking a little scarce, but this is where kind of the intuition and that ability to innovate comes in. And it's really kind of sounds like a misnomer. It's innovating by getting back to your basics, because it meant that we had to start working really, really cross-functionally to figure out how we fill in those gaps. So we needed to know way more about the user journey and the path to purchase. So with the visibility that we have, what can we expect to see now, and what can we anticipate would happen after that 24-hour look-back window? The cost per acquisition then becomes affected. So it's not that we can take it purely from the platforms, it's something we have to apply modeling on top of. Retention by product, cohort, geo, and OS. Our portfolio right now is around 7 products that we manage, so there's a lot of different variables between those. And then lastly, building that robust LTV model that's able to interpret all of these different parameters, once again, when you do not have access to that data. So being able to apply that back to the work that we do. So for the user journey, we took the end-to-end that we are able to see on an aggregate level once again, and we mapped the timing of the available events that we have to that journey. For our cost of acquisition, we then applied that modeling to help us understand what are the expected things that will occur outside of that. It looks different for subscription services versus the IAP ones, but thankfully we have a really good partnership with our data team who are able to help us kind of anticipate what should happen. Retention, all around building granular cohort retention models that will allow us to see whether or not the quality of users we're bringing into the products have adverse effects or positive effects on their cohorts. And then lastly, all of this comes together to help us create that vision of customer LTV. So applying the retention, pricing, geography, and OS insights to give us that full picture. And the result is that workable program ROI. So we go from having very, very limited data, go from being able to see not a whole lot to being able to build a much more robust model that can actually show the benefit of the work that Louisa and her team are doing.
Second part, I'm not sure if this is working, yeah, is knowing your players and their parents, in our case. And we wanted to start with this question: do you really know your players, or have you outsourced that to your ad networks? So as everyone knows here, traditional mobile games have access to a ton of data about their users that are coming from paid UA. You can essentially see what the users that you're bringing to the app are doing inside of the app. You can target by lookalikes, psychographic, demographic, but most importantly, via outcomes. You can outsource to your algorithm to do your targeting for you. Find me someone who's going to come and do a purchase. For kids apps, we can't do that. We can't run IAP campaigns asking an algorithm to find us purchasers. We can only target country, OS, and some allow list, as well as the big nuance of kids apps where our players are not our payers. So we can't really translate in-app usage what kids are doing inside of the app to say, okay, this person might be likely to purchase or not. I was talking to someone in the audience today, and he's a parent of a girl who plays one of our games, and he's the purchaser. He doesn't know what she's doing inside of the app, and we can't build those correlations very easily. So it's not like we can share a lot of in-app data as well and make the algorithm work. The typical growth mindset, what we realized is that the industry is hyper-focused on that purchase, on that event, and we've kind of forgotten who our users are outside of the app. We know who our users are in our app, but we don't know what kind of lives they're living, but who they are. And for us, because we can't target that purchase, we had to take it a step further and understand what the actual customer journey was. We're lucky that at Sego Mini and Toca Boca, we have very robust research teams that are talking to parents, running customer interviews, surveys, but also doing playtesting sessions with kids weekly. We were not leveraging this information at all in our marketing. And we started to talk to these teams and understand what matters to parents, how do they find apps for kids, what's their path to conversion, and we started to map that out. And for kids as well, what do they like? That's going to inform our creative. in our approach. So we realized, and it's fun that the previous speaker was saying it with Reddit, trust is the most important thing for a brand, but especially for parents. If you're gonna let your toddler or an 8-year-old play with an iPad, you kind of want to know that they're in a safe space. And it's something that we're not focusing as much through advertising, and we decided that it was a part of our funnel. Conversions are going to come if we're able to build that parent trust. So all of these data points that we were collecting, we turned that into our media plan. So an algorithm doesn't decide for us where we are, where we're showing our ads, how much money we're spending. It's a deep understanding and knowledge of our customers. And it also helped us kickstart some things that we were not doing before. In paid UA, you're hyper-focused again on the install. For us, we just started running some brand awareness campaigns, some initiatives around bringing parents to a landing page and just talking about our brands, offering a printable, building a relationship with them, but also focusing on YouTube Kids, organic content. We just want parents to get used to seeing our brand, kids as well, and feel comfortable with the brands and building that trust. And in terms of creatives, because we can't target either parents or kids, we're running 2 sets of creatives, and we're hoping that if it's a parent seeing it, we're focusing on acknowledging the pain of the parents and all the struggles they might have and empathizing with them. For kids, we know that we have to engage, entertain. Kids love to laugh. Toddlers love farts. And then for the Toca Boca ones, they love to feel like they're hip and cool, and it's understanding what the different needs of these kids and parents are. And the result of this was 40% increase in program profitability. Why? Because our subscriber LTV did increase. After we started focusing on understanding our customers and planning our media in a way where we're focusing on the entire funnel, you're able to get that subscriber to stay with you for longer. It's not like you're acquiring them and then you have to fight back for them to stay subscribed. They already know who you are when they're walking into the door, and that's going to increase the LTV. And simultaneously, it's going to decrease the CPA. So yeah. The third thing we're doing is being a first mover. So jumping in, accepting the risk, and setting the platform, the standard for your category. So the first thing is, for kids apps, we're always the first ones to lose availability of tools. We're the first ones to get affected when regulations come out, and we're the last ones to get the solution. This is some of the things that we've dealt with in the past 5 years that I've been at Segomini. We lost the IDFA before everyone else did in the industry. So 14.5 got enforced in April 2021. We lost it in November 2020. We lost probabilistic attribution, which is what everyone in the industry is using right now. We lost that when SCAD got rolled out. And we lost the Google Ad ID already 2 years ago, May 2023. So it's quite interesting, to be in spaces and come to get training and education, and not a lot of people can relate to what you're going through. So we can't wait for the market to catch up. And then last year, we implemented SCAD 4, and turns out it wasn't compatible with Kids app, just because we anonymized so heavily in the first app experience in the install. So what we're doing is creating sort of this formula that we follow every time we face a market disruption. So it starts by owning the problem. We lose the Google Ad ID, or we lost the IDFA. That problem's mine. It's not the industry's. It's not other people's to figure out. It's my problem that I have to own and acknowledge that gap. The second thing we did was amp up your stakeholders. So for us, that's externally. We have great relationships with Apple and Google, but also AppsFlyer, our MMP. And internally, kind of demystifying the division of paid UA with the rest of the company, right? In all of the kids, in all of the gaming apps I've worked at, not a lot of people do know what the paid UA manager does and what even AppsFlyer is. In our case, we made it our mission for product, technology, and the devs to understand what we do and to work in lockstep with us. Once you have that connection with your stakeholders, you have open collaboration. Sometimes it feels like our AppsFlyer team and our tech team internally are part of the same team. And that's what we want. When we're facing all of this disruptiveness and nobody knows what to do in the market, it's all of us, all of the companies heads down trying to figure it out for us, which we're very appreciative of. And then measured by, but bold moves. Bold in the sense that we are sort of going against the grain of what other people in the market are doing. I find that when there's new privacy limitations, what most of the industry is doing is finding another way to do the same thing. So that's probabilistic. SCAD has been here for a while, and I don't see a lot of people just relying on SCAD. We're still wanting to stay with what we had before. We can't do that. So I guess for us, we have to be creative within the bounds of whatever regulation comes out. And then drive industry progress by advocating. We're constantly advocating for all the things that we've been going through, just coming to these conferences and talking to you guys. I'm sure not a lot of people know what it really is to be a part of the Kids app and understanding that there's people that are doing this the very extreme way, and that also drives industry progress. So by finding this formula, essentially we have a trusted and compliant framework. We've been able to run uninterrupted growth at scale. Like I said, we lost the Google Ad ID 2 years ago, and we're still running growth at scale. We establish also foundations to share across apps. We're a group, as Sarabeth was saying, we're 3 different studios in San Francisco, Toronto, and Stockholm, and we work servicing all of these apps. And how do we create a foundational understanding for all of these studios to follow the same formula is what we've done. And yeah, our process is strong. Disruptiveness is going to happen, but we're quite comfortable with what we have right now, and we're confident in that it's gonna be fine regardless.
100%. So yeah, that's largely it from us today. So we just want to leave you guys with a few key takeaways. So the first one is be adaptable and work with the data that you have. And for a lot of you, I'd say be grateful for the data that you have, because you do have more than you probably think. But even when you have limited visibility, you can be pretty creative and find those solutions. Something that our team really holds close to our core value is just being problem solvers first and then marketers second. The things that Luis was describing is a lot of trial and error, but it's also reading a lot of engineering documentation, trying to figure out how these things work together so that we can explain it to the other teams, bring them in on the journey, and then elevate the craft. In turn, that makes us better marketers, but it also means that we can have these conversations more broadly. And then lastly, it's just taking ownership of your growth. Don't wait for the market. You can find a way. You just have to be bold and take those chances, but there's something there that you'll be able to focus in on that will help elevate your business. And that's it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.